back to the Phil's Boardroom, where we will be touching base on the past 2.5 weeks of your 2024 Philadelphia Phillies. And this is going to be a fun one, special All-Star Game episode. This is Dave, and as always, joined by co-chairman of the board, Tom. What's going on?
How's it going, Dave? Good to be back. Feels like
it's a hot one today.
Oh, yeah, the last 2 weeks, really?
Yeah, ever since we recorded last time.
I don't remember what it's like to not be 90 degrees out, actually.
It literally feels like we live down in, like, Mississippi right now. Hottest day of the year, 110, real feel.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Jesus. That's crazy.
But enough about the weather. Let's talk about the hottest team of the first half, your Philadelphia Phillies. Yes, we were at the All-Star break halfway through the season. Well, about 15 games over halfway. And we are still the best team in baseball.
Still the best team in baseball. We're still going to say the hottest. We're going to try not to overreact and go into panic mode over the last series.
It all depends on what sample size you take.
We'll get into that a little bit more, but let's start. Ring the bell. Little team icebreaker. Today is Tuesday, July 16th. All-Star game tonight, so that means last night was our boy in the home run derby.
Bomer in the derby.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was I used to love the home run derby as a kid. Like, I watched it every year, no matter what. But now, as a grown child, I only watch it really when I pay attention when there's a Phillies player. And Bohm represented really well. He really did. But I mean, let's talk about the start. The national anthem. It's all over social media. It was all over the news today. Was not good by any stretch of the imagination. But unfortunately, we now learned today that there's a reason behind it.
Yeah, so I think it's, I don't want us to get canceled in our first season here, but I never heard of Ingrid Andress, the country singer, but she came out after everybody demolished her for being the worst at singing it since Fergie.
Yeah,
and the Golden State series, which was really
bad.
But she's checking herself into rehab because she was really drunk, she said, and that's the reason why she sounded so bad.
Yeah, so obviously,
I think I sound better drunk, but I don't want to joke about this. We wish her the best.
Yeah, wish her the best, and hopefully she gets the help that she needs. Obviously, it was a tough thing for her.
Because I mean, Eric Clapton, I think he said he doesn't remember like the entire decade of the 70s, but he sounded pretty good. Okay, all right. I don't want to. We wish her the best.
Wish her the best, and hopefully a speedy and full recovery.
Redeem herself next year.
That would be something, honestly.
No, please no.
So overall format, they changed it this year. I feel like they change it every 3 to 4 years.
Right.
I personally liked it. I did. So for those of you who might not have watched, the gist of it, rounds 1 and 2 were the same in the sense that 3 minutes, 40 pitches for each player with a 3-out bonus after those 3 minutes or 40 pitches were up, where they could swing away and hit as many home runs as they could with only having 3 outs.
Right. And also that it was the top 4 out of 8, where last year the first round was head-to-head, which is pretty stupid.
It is.
Like, to have it be like
right in the beginning.
Right. Have the 4. Yeah.
The first round was great, where it's the top 4 in the first round, but then round 2, it went back to that bracket style where it was 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and in that second round, our boy Bohm was actually the 1 seed. He was tied for the most in that first round, so he ended up playing. Oh, good catch, Tom.
Almost lost the laptop.
That would have been good. He ended up playing Teoscar Hernandez in the second round in a close one. But the best thing about him moving on to the second round is Pete Alonso and Ozuna both did not make it the second round. So
yeah, always a pleasure seeing those guys lose, especially Alonso.
Home run derby champion of the NL East.
Yeah. Oh, good point. I love that.
We should make shirts.
And and I liked the 3 outs bonus part until it ended up being what doomed Bohm. So I'll be hometown biased.
Yeah, but, Meg, my wife, kept saying, she's like, he can't hit 3 outs. He can't. He's better when it's timed. This is her first home run derby she's ever watched. I'm like, I don't really know what to tell you. I mean,
it was his to lose. He came out to 21. It didn't feel great, but then everybody went down. He's the most rested going into the second round with the top seed. Knew what he had to beat.
Which could be good or bad. It really could be.
Yeah, I think that like hour and 45 minutes of sitting ended up hurting. What was his face? What was his name? Walsko, the pitcher. Waldo. Like that,
yeah. It was his
he was
summer
just,
league coach.
He was just chucking them high the first like 10 pitches, but he had it.
I think it was Wingo.
I don't know.
Like that.
Wingo, yeah. I don't know. It's everybody was like, oh, it was fun, good showing. Nobody expected anything from Bohm, but Bohm won a home run derby before getting called up in 2016. He's
with
a
him
huge
as the
kid,
pitcher.
so he could do it. He should have. It was in his hands. It was he was in control.
The second round, the first minute and a half, he only had 3 home runs, and then he went on a tear for the last minute and a half and ended up hitting 11, which tied Teoscar Hernandez, who had 14 at the time, and we thought he was going to get the opportunity to get it within the time.
Just one more.
He needed one more, and then he had the 3 outs to get one, and unfortunately made 3 outs without hitting any. Went to a swing off, which their swing off is 3 total swings.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he lost to that. Teoscar hit 2. Bohm then went up, hit, missed, and then he hit 1, thought there was a chance, and then he popped up out to center field. It was a lot of fun, though.
Props to Teoscar. He nuked those 2 in the swing off, and then he went on and carried that on to
win it.
To win it all,
He went Bohm, silver lining. He ended up losing to the eventual winner. I guess I honestly thought the semifinal between those two was really more the better final anyway. But it was a great thing to watch. It was a lot of fun. I like the format that they changed it to this year. Big reason why I thought it made it a little bit more competitive. It kind of leveled the playing field a little bit, giving everybody that time, that number of pitches. Because before, when we used to watch it, they would have 10 outs. They could see as many pitches as they wanted, and they had just to hit as many home runs with 10 outs to get. And an out means that you didn't hit a home run. That would count for an out in the home run derby. And there would be people who would take forever. They would watch like 5 pitches before they swung at the next one. And it's not necessarily a level playing field there. There needs to be some guidelines and rules around it, which I thought was a better step yesterday. But I know there are people who would disagree with me. Yeah,
and the good part of that on the flip side is then you got to watch like each bomb on TV. Where last year, where it was just like pure time, you didn't even get to see the balls fly out. It's like the whole fun of the Derby. So like they kind of brought a mix of it a little bit. And when they cut to the angle like back to the right, and you're just seeing like you're just watching them launch from behind.
From their
that was sick. That was sick.
Yeah, they need to do that.
They had the live tracker on it and everything. That was pretty sick.
Yeah. You could usually tell off the bat when one was going to go out.
Yeah.
But I agree that it was much better perspective looking at it behind home plate or from the angle behind home plate. It's definitely a cooler look. They did a good job.
There's an obvious way to fix the home run derby that everybody knows. The reason why we loved it so much as kids.
Because all the best home run hitters were
bring back steroids. Yeah, bring back steroids. That's what made it great.
I mean, that is true.
Just watching Sosa.
I do think that I wish there was a way that they could put in every player's contract, if you are in the top 8 in baseball, in home runs for the All-Star break, it's mandatory that you have to do the home run derby. I think that ought to be awesome. Same thing with the dunk contest and all that stuff.
That's a whole nother.
The home run derby is the best of all of the 4 major sports in the U.S., the best all-star skills challenge, whatever you want to call it, that's out there.
Okay, I'd have to think. That's it's hard to disagree with that, but I'm gonna take that right into the next point that I had that I wanted to make before we move past All-Star Weekend. Mm-hmm. The Celebrity All-Star Game, I was pumped. Like Maxey got named, Terrell Owens was out there. It's a fun event. Kevin Hart, I think, did it a few years, or he always does NBA, but it was non-existent. Like nobody even knew it happened. And then pair that with the Futures Game that we had a couple of our young guys out there representing the Phillies. Did anybody even know it happened?
No, they play it. I don't think they actually played it.
It was during a regular season game. No, they played the Futures Game already. It was I think it was Sunday, like while games were still going
aired
on.
It during Sunday, yeah.
I don't think I don't know if it even aired outside MLB TV. The Celebrity Softball Game, they couldn't get a TV contract, so it's on YouTube. And Terrell Owens is like hitting bombs
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I remember you would watch that as a kid.
Right.
It's fun.
It's like you have 4 things. I think it make it a weekend. It should be a weekend, but I don't know. Maybe they're trying to sell more weekend tickets. But whatever. If you're going to do Monday, Tuesday, there's essentially 4 events. Do future game, derby, softball game, all-star game.
You could do something like that.
Right? Or the other way.
It's more of a, they're probably like, we don't have time and there's a lot that goes into it because it's more about the theatrics of the game anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's a good point. And I didn't really realize that. But still, I still put the home run derby up there with the best of all.
It's pretty awesome, yeah.
This type of format in all the 4 major sports in the U.S.
Just watching dingers.
Dingers only.
But I don't even know if Maxie played because I wanted to see, like, all right, let me at least see Maxie's highlights. No. I tried to just go on Twitter and find, like, highlights. Nothing exists.
You can fast forward through it.
The only thing I found was T.O. hitting a bomb. He hit the softball out of left field, so, like, 330, with the worst swing I've ever seen. But the fact that he's 50 years old, he swung it like he was, like, from barely moving his arms, and this thing went 330. So, like, T.O. still got it.
He's an athlete.
Start with error, maybe. I don't know.
All right, let's move on to recognition. So, just want to recognize a couple people here. First, the Phillies maestro for killing it last week during Retro Night. It was Throwback Thursday, Retro 80s Night on Thursday night against the last game against the Dodgers. He played live. It was a lot of fun, a lot of good throwbacks, a lot of good videos, and the production quality that the Phillies put into it was awesome. But obviously the Maestro did a great job too. It was great to see him there live.
It was a lot of fun. And appreciate you, Brian, brought us out there. And we saw Rojas make that crazy catch right in front of us.
Right in front of us. We actually didn't see it because we didn't know if he actually caught it or not until we saw him. Just based on our perspective, it's hard to see over that. We were a couple rows back.
Right.
But the crowd reaction was amazing.
They had a little hat tip. I think I pointed at him. I think he saw me and pointed back, probably.
Yeah, he saw you directly. Yeah, directly at you. I did watch it a couple times. Like, there was all over social media and the clips, and you could see us, like, standing up for it.
Really?
Yeah, I could see my Hawaiian shirt.
Nice.
Yeah.
On that, just the side note, we'll get a little bit more in this when we break down the series, but then Sunday we were at the game and got on the big screen. I think that's number 5 times I've been on the big screen. So if you count that Rojas catch,
that's technically
I'm up to 6. I'm up to 6 on the big screen. It's usually they're trying to get like someone 2 rows in front of us, and we just look up and we're just see our
right there. So we also want to recognize all of our All-Stars. I know this is the All-Star Game episode, so obviously going to be a major focus for today. But we have 8 total All-Stars. Bryce, obviously, he was the number 1 vote getter in the National League. And well-deserved. First appearance for the Phillies as a Philly. Same thing with Alec Boehm and Trey Turner. Those are our position players that got voted in. So it was great to see them. Well-deserved for each one, and we'll touch on the year that they've been having so far. But then our pitchers, for most of this season, especially in the first half, have been dominant, right? And we have the best rotation. It's right up there with everybody else when you look end to end. Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, and Christopher Sanchez got in the last couple of days. Great to see them. But then also our relievers, Jeff Hoffman, Matt Strom, usually don't get included in the All-Star game. Really awesome for them too.
Yeah, it's you usually see a closer, so to see two relief guys. It says a lot about how complete this team is, honestly. Sanchez getting in as a replacement, but you can't say he didn't deserve it the way he was pitching some of the games he had.
He really did deserve it.
Wheeler, what's his 4 in a row for Wheeler? I'd have to double check.
Was he there last year? I don't think he was there. He might have got named, but he didn't go.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know if he was there last year.
I'll have to double check that. But pretty sweet.
Ties a record, though. 8 total with the 2001 Mariners. And then you mentioned to me that the Braves, you believe, also got 8 last year?
2023 Braves had 8 last year, too. So could have gone down as one of the best teams ever if they didn't run into a wagon.
Yeah. But we did break the record for pitchers going to the All-Star game with a total of 5. So we do
all-time
MLB record with 5 pitchers from the team.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I didn't realize
Especially
that.
when you look at, you have usually five pitchers in your rotation, and then relievers. You usually get maybe one, like a closer, but to have 5 total like that is pretty remarkable.
But clearly, our bullpen still stinks, according to most of the people in our section.
There are some individuals that we could probably say.
No, yeah, it's. I mean, that goes. Like I said, I feel like it just goes to show how complete this team is. And as we get into a little bit of trade talk with the deadline coming up, that's a major topic of it. And yeah, I mean, these guys should. I'm glad Trey got it after missing that time. But if anybody deserved it after that,
I mean, he's been raking ever since, too.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's really been a year now. The standing ovation was
August.
So
Yeah, almost a year. So let's think about it this way. All-Star break in baseball terms means halfway through the season, even though, again, we're 96 games through.
Sure.
Not 81. But first half MVP, mine might surprise you, might surprise some others. It's actually going to be Alec Boehm.
Okay, because
Couple
there's the
reasons.
obvious one out there.
There's a couple obvious ones.
Actually, you know what? Yeah. Okay, go ahead with Boehm.
But I say Alec Boehm is the MVP of the first half of the season. Yes, he doesn't have the average that Trey does, or even necessarily Bryce right now, but he is leading the league in doubles. He is in the top 5 in RBIs. But for me, MVP, the best ability is availability, and he has played the second most games on the team so far. So he has performed consistently and played consistently, and to me, that makes him the MVP for the first half.
Yeah, and that's hard to dispute because even if you go the obvious, Harper, player of the month in May, player of the month in June, but, being Harper, basically just on a tear, big moments. But I don't think Harper is able to do what he did without Boehm.
Without Boehm being the cleanup.
Taking the step that he took.
Harper's getting much better.
He's getting pitches.
Much better pitches because there's a true threat behind him.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's different than, okay, we can walk Harper and strike out Casty,
Yeah, thank God those days look to be over of Castellanos as cleanup hitter.
Not to bash our boy. He's picked it up. He's picked it up pretty well here.
But Boehm is the sure fit, I think, as
leading, double, just monster machine. He was overlooked at the Derby. I called that he should go to the Derby, actually, if you remember.
You did on June 27th, live at the Boardroom. You did call it.
Yeah, and I've proven right. One
Mr. Thomas.
One extra out hit away from maybe making a couple bucks off of it.
Yeah, but he was plus 2,000 last night.
It was disrespectful.
Yeah.
Plus 2,200.
I thought he was going to do it. I thought he had a legitimate chance. He really, really, really did.
But I'll counter your Boehm with Harper because this team goes as Harper goes.
This is true.
He's
and
the
as
heart
the
and
season
soul.
progresses, though, there's a third that may end up surpassing both of them if he continues to play. And we'll touch on it more, but Trey.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't miss time, he's probably leading the MVP race. And it's probably not.
And if he stays healthy for the rest of the year, there's still a chance.
He's just on a tear. Every game. It's crazy.
So industry update. We'll start off with a guy who's been quite popular on our podcast, and we've touched on him, I think, at least over the last couple episodes. And he's, kind of taking the league by storm. He has his first All-Star game appearance already as a rookie. He is going to be the starting pitcher for the National League, Mr. Paul Skeens, a.k.a. Livy Dunn's boyfriend. He had a no-hit bid the last time he pitched the other day. Going into the 7th, they pulled him. What are your thoughts on that? How do you feel about those situations?
Soft.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
most people do these days.
99 pitches. That's the day and age. But what's the difference with sending him out in the 8th and seeing if he can get out in 10 pitches? Because I think in the 7th he got out in like 10 or 11 pitches.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if you're close, you see where you're at. I think really when you're in that situation, I think like 115, 120, you can maybe stretch as like the max.
But give him the chance.
We don't even give him the opportunity.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
You don't even give him the opportunity. It's a different day and age.
And especially because if you're Pittsburgh,
they're trying to protect their future asset that they're going to trade for a haul to,
right.
to us or the Yankees or the Dodgers in the future.
Was that us that had that conversation about that? because I was thinking Skeens was this like blue collar guy. It was like, oh, he's gonna be a Yankee or a Philly. He's gonna go to somewhere on the East Coast. And then we looked it up. He grew up in California. He's like close to Orange County, outside of L.A.
Yeah, I'll probably go to the Dodgers.
He's gonna be a Dodger. And Livy Dunn, it's written.
It is.
Nostradamus. I don't think I need
call it.
Yeah.
And it might even be 2 to 3 years from
unfortunately, in the National League.
Yeah. And then also, according to Elias and Sarah Langs from MLB.com, he was drafted number 1 overall last year, July 9th, 2023. And then just over a year later, he was named an All-Star. Skeens is the first player to be an All-Star the year after being drafted in June, amateur draft per Elias.
That's very cool.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. Last year that he's had.
You look in even like a few months before that was the College World Series champion, College World Series MVP.
And he's dating Livy Dunn. Pretty good to be Paul Skeens these days, right?
Got a great mustache.
Got a great stash.
He seems like super level-headed, and from all like the interviews on All-Star Weekend, seems like a pretty genuine dude.
He's got it figured out.
Yeah.
He certainly does.
Shout out to all of our Pittsburgh guys.
All the Yinzers out there.
Yeah.
All those Yinzers listening in
Enjoy
the
it.
podcast.
Enjoy it while you can, because you know what's coming.
And then just around the All-Star game overall, according to Elias and, again, Sarah Langs from MLB.com, the Dodgers have the second most with 6 All-Stars this year. What's important to note here is it's actually the 5th straight All-Star team with at least 5 Dodgers reps. So 5th consecutive year that the Dodgers have sent at least 5 players from their team. I mean, they've been consistently good over these past 5 years. It's just, I want to talk about this a second because it's interesting that they've been so good for so long, but they only have one Mickey Mouse World Series to account for in the 2020 World Series.
So some people are saying Dallas Cowboys vibes. They did get the one.
Or honestly, more like Buffalo 90s Bills vibes, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I guess the Braves could be more Cowboys. No, they won recently too. So the Cowboys are in the league of their own. All right, it's a baseball podcast.
True. And then lastly here around the All-Star game, there have been this year there are 37 first-timers and another 13 players received at least their 3rd consecutive nod. So very top-heavy from a first-timers perspective, but also 13 players that have been here over at least 3 times is also pretty impressive too.
Yeah, really cool. And even like a couple of those guys, like watching Gunnar and Bobby Witt, there's some cool young players. Like
there's a lot of young
league is in good hands. Yeah,
it's going to be fun to watch and go against some of these guys like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman who are making their either 8th straight with Mookie or the 6th straight with Freddie. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Looking forward to it. Should be a good time.
Can't stand Freddie Freeman, but anyway,
we digress.
He didn't do much against us. It's nice to watch.
He didn't. So just real quick, overall standings, we mentioned we are the best team in baseball. We have been the best team in baseball consecutively for a number of weeks now. The Yankees had it for a short period of time.
Had a rough little stretch.
Rough stretch. I think they've kind of, the ship is steered in the right direction. They're 4-6 over the last 10, but we are the best team in baseball right now. 3.5 games over the Cleveland Guardians, who we will be playing in the next couple of weeks. So we'll touch on that too. And then 4 games ahead of the Orioles. But the next National League team on this list, which is 5th in all of baseball, are the Dodgers. We are 6.5 games ahead of them.
Love it.
And we had a great series against them to help distance ourselves a little bit too.
Yeah, it feels good. It's been crazy. It's been fun to watch. I wish I didn't go to that Oakland game on Sunday. What a waste of time. But, like Schwarber said, it's big picture. That's pretty meaningless in my opinion.
It's an absolutely meaningless game.
But yeah, I mean, if you ask anybody if we would have been here at the All-Star break, I don't think. I mean, what moves do you make? What do you? I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty incredible that we're at this point. Thought we would be really good this year.
I don't even want to jinx it. I don't even want to say anything.
Thought we'd be really good this year. We are a very, very good baseball team. There's a lot of baseball left to play. In fact, 66 more games of the regular season. but it's been fun, and we should just enjoy the ride.
That's really, the big thing. Enjoy it so you get your hopes so high that you have to take off work for a week if the unthinkable happens. But the window is thoroughly open. It's
very open.
It's World Series or bust, right? Do you agree?
Yes, at this point. Yes. It'd be World Series or bust. But let's talk about real quick before we get off of the industry update. Also want to touch on, and now that we're at the All-Star break, I think this is good for us to touch on throughout up until the end of regular season, where everybody's at in the wild card standings. Right now, the Yankees, Twins, and Red Sox are in position to get the wild card in the American League. But then in the National League, the Braves are in position to take that 4th spot, followed by the Cardinals and the New York Mets. A little surprising, but the power of Grimace. They are 7-3 over the last 10. They did struggle a little bit after the "Oh My God" song came out, so everybody's like, we had negative vibes going into it. But they're not a bad team. They're 49-46, currently sitting in that last wild card spot. But there are 6 teams within 3.5 games of them to catch that last wild card spot. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch the rest of the season because it's really close throughout the National League. Yeah,
the Diamondbacks picked it up a little bit. It's pretty much there for anybody. You got to think the Braves are gonna pull ahead. But yeah, it'll be fun to watch, and maybe it'll give us a chance to play spoilers to the Braves. And that's a early September, late August series.
Yeah. That would be fun. That would be amazing if that happened.
We knock them out a third year, and the third one is they don't even or like knocks them down.
That would be pretty incredible. All right. Everybody's favorite time. Let's get down to business to defeat the American League.
Is that Jeff?
Oh, yeah. We thought I heard him. He can always hear us whenever we do that. So let's talk about safety, injury updates. Unfortunately, we still have quite a few to touch on here, predominantly around pitching, but we'll start with JT. JT has been out ever since the London series, and the rumors are that he's going to be back. Not the first series against the Pirates. That was originally the rumor, but they're saying now second series back after the All-Star break, so within the next week in Minneapolis against the Twins.
Yeah, take your time, get back right. We could use him because Marshawn's been well, but Stubbs, I don't know. Maybe getting back into his normal routine will help him out a little bit because he's not been hitting well.
He's not, but we can touch on this real quick. The whole debate that's all over the place. It's kind of cooled down.
Oh yeah, put this to rest, Dave.
Yeah,
hit him with facts.
Marshawn Stubbs debate, like who should be the backup catcher on this team. That's when you know you're having a good season, when we're debating on who the backup catcher should be.
Right. Yeah.
We're keeping Stubbs for this year. There's no question about it.
But it's not for any performance. It's just logistically. It's the only thing that makes sense.
It's the only decision that makes sense. If we DFA Stubbs, he's out of options. We lose him. Somebody else is going to pick him up. The Phillies are not going to threaten their catcher depth by doing that. Marshawn still has options. He can get sent down to AAA. And on top of that, you brought up the
Chief
great
Vibes
point.
Officer.
He's Chief Vibes Officer.
The other point?
No, the other point is around Marshawn. He's definitely produced better offensively than Stubbs. Why not give him consistent at-bats?
Yeah, don't halt his progression. Let him go back. Continue to play every day. Continue his development. Stubbs go back to being the backup role. When you're a backup to JT Realmuto, you don't play very often. And JT's going to come back. He's probably not going to miss a whole lot of games the second post All-Star break. And in the playoffs, he doesn't miss any games, really. That's why Stubbs
this really isn't a discussion.
It's not a discussion. Yeah. So just long story short, Marshawn has to go down because if Stubbs goes down, another team can steal him, and then we lose our catcher depth, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Makes zero sense.
But the argument for who could be the backup catcher next season,
very valid. That's the argument.
And I think Marshawn kind of having a switch hitting catcher.
There's a very real chance that this is the last year that Stubbs is a Philly.
So enjoy him while you can. That play. Will he let us continue using the playlist? Hopefully
he just signs a.
It's not even. Yeah.
the Phil's win playlist for those who are wondering. Listen to it every game. Going to every game.
The overalls. Yeah. Stubbs will be the backup catcher again, no doubt.
All right. So pitchers, Taiwan, Turnbull, both out. Been out for the past couple of weeks. They went out basically within a couple of days of each other. Thought Turnbull was going to be Taiwan's replacement. Thought he was going to, have some good stuff, but it looks like, what are they saying, Tom? Late August, early September.
Yeah. That's what he came with. Sorry for
both Taiwan and Turnbull, late August, early September. Is that what they're looking at?
No, they were. I put late August, early September is where they start to get into that realm of leaning into the 6-man rotation further.
Yeah, after a trade deadline.
Yeah, and the games kind of usually get a little more bunched up. We haven't had a single rain out though, so not as much as normal.
Very odd.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting.
And we've had a ton of games where it rained, but not a single rain out.
For whatever reason, we are playing through the rain much more this season than we ever have before.
Last year, every game that me and Dave tried to go to together was rained out.
Yes, and Nola pitched.
Yeah, it was a double. All right, but yeah. So
I mean, the next month we could realistically see both of them again. And yeah, I do think that I've always been about this, even since the first episode. 6-man rotation, I think, will be there at some point.
And it's going to be necessary as these guys come back. See who can fit into that come playoff time to be that 5th starter. That we're not going through. We're not going through bullpen games that we can, because the rotation right now it's been so rock solid. But now over recently, I don't know if you want to get into this right now or. But like, there's questions now that there hasn't been before, because all of a sudden Wheeler's missing some time where it was just back, and then all of a sudden he's missing the All-Star game, then he's missing a start. Probably just precautionary, but it's still missing a start.
I mean, a Wheeler, Ranger, dead arm, or his back, or his workload,
right,
or a million other things that could be wrong with Ranger. But
it's like, are they? I don't think this organization really holds back information, but it started to feel a little bit like one thing is escalating a little bit more than we were initially told.
I think the pitch count, not necessarily the pitch count, the innings count is kind of catching up to him a little bit.
Ranger, I think, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot for Ranger compared, and it's been a fun season. They've pitched really well. I think that the All-Star break is coming at the perfect time.
Yeah.
And let's get them right, but there may be a situation, again, where we go through a 6-man rotation because we need to keep these arms as fresh as possible throughout the rest of the season, the long season, getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, and figure out who can. That's why I was going to wait till we got into the last series, the Oakland series, but I'll go into that game we gave up 18 runs and got smoked, but they gave up the game. But in my opinion, they gave it up before it even started. They just decided they're going to lose it. Yeah, but a schedule that annoys me.
I know. Not going to say.
And it annoys me even more because I'm going to speak for everybody that was down there. Right after the game, it was a thunder lightning storm, and someone immediately crashed on 95. I hope everybody's okay, but. It was a parking lot, so it took me 2 hours to get home, so maybe that made me a little even more annoyed. But they think that they announced Mercado as the starter 4 or 5 days prior when they said Wheeler wasn't going to start. And then the day of, they decide Kerkering's going to do this opener role. And it's like, okay, well, neither of them expected that. What's the point of that? See if Mercado can go get right against the Oakland A's. You need Kerkering to go take care of the top of the lineup of the A's, and then he's not available when Mercado's getting smoked. If it's a bullpen game, fire up the bullpen. We're sitting there. There's nobody warming up in the bullpen. Mercado's getting crushed. You could have had Kerkering come in, save him, go another inning. I don't know. It just felt like it was like not only was it a throwaway game, they did just stupid stuff. I don't know. Drove me nuts. I was there.
We'll take that offline, Tom.
And then as I'm walking out of the stadium,
the corporate lingo. We'll take this offline.
I don't want an HR complaint.
We'll take this offline. Yeah. Tom.
And then Stubbs
Tom is on a soapbox.
Then
right
Stubbs
now.
gives up a grand slam as we're walking out of the stadium. His ERA smoked. All right, that's all. That game annoyed me, even though it was the most pointless game of the year.
All right. Welcome back, Tom.
All right, I'm very excited about the second half of this season, but that grinded my gears.
Let's get into this a little bit. So we're going to talk about delivery, and when we talk about delivery, we talk series by series. But before we do that, the last 16 games, it's been 16 games since we last recorded at the Boardroom with Phillies Maestro. Shout out Brian. We went 9-7 over the last 16.
Shout out the Boardroom too. That was a lot of fun. Really appreciate you guys down there. Really appreciate you guys. Love working with you. That was sweet. We got to do it again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Boardroom. 9-7 over the last 16. 62-34 overall for the season. That is a 646 win percentage, which is a 105 win pace, which would break our franchise record of 102 set by the 2011 squad. And then overall standings in the NL East. I know we talked about the overall, but we are, sorry, I cannot read this today, 8.5 games over the Braves. We've been consistently 8.5, 9 games over them for the past, really couple weeks. And I think it's a pretty good gap. Obviously, a lot of things can happen, but I'd love to see us kind of keep on the tear that we're on and distance ourselves even more.
Yeah, and if our starting pitching continues to play the way they played, gets their feet back under them, it's going to be very, very hard to catch this team.
So series by series, first we're going to talk about the Marlins series. We went 2-2 in that series. Game 1 was actually the night of the live show at the Boardroom. That was a game to forget for a number of reasons.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It was a bad game throughout. We went down. Later in the game, we were up, then we went down, and we ended up losing 7-4. But the reason why it was so bad is right at the end of the game, the 8th inning, and then in the 9th inning, last play, we lost Schwarber and we lost Bryce. Thank God it wasn't for an extended period of time. It looked way worse for both of them, especially Bryce, that it was going to be a multiple weeks, like maybe 6 weeks, 60-day IL kind of stuff. Stuff we don't want to talk about.
Grabbing the hamstring on the last play of a pointless run, and for him to say he never felt that before, and after we just saw Trey's hamstring. So, yeah, glad
it was brutal, but thankfully it was only for about 10 days, which we'll touch on. But a big portion of these last 16 games have been without them.
Right.
So they brought Clemens and Rojas back up. After that, Rojas, got sent down to AAA. I don't even know, like a week before that. So he really didn't spend too long down there, but he did play well.
He was playing well down.
He's been playing well since he's been back up too. But they brought them back up. Game 2 was a much better feel. Definitely a game that we all needed as fans after that brutal loss on that Thursday night. But that Friday night game, Sanchez, first complete game shutout.
In those beautiful uniforms.
I don't think so, Tom. I don't know about that.
No, that was very cool. Complete game shutout, 0 walks.
This is probably what solidified him to be a candidate for the All-Star game. That game in particular.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then game 3, Nola, I was there for it. He had great stuff for most of the game. But then he did what I often get frustrated with him about, and I know, Tom, we were texting about it. After he's a very good pitcher. I get it, and we talk about this every episode. But he did it. He did it. He did exactly what he always does. Later in the game, anytime after the 4th inning, it's always a crapshoot with him. He can have no hit stuff all the way up until that point. This time he took it into the 7th, and it was the 7th inning. He had 2 outs, was pitching gem. 2 outs, led up back-to-back doubles for the Marlins to go up by 2, and we eventually lost 3-2 that game. That was incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
But overall, his numbers are good. That was just a very frustrating thing that he has a knack for doing for whatever reason, and I don't know why.
Yeah, and you want to win these series against the lesser opponents.
Yeah, we expected at least 3, even some calling for a sweep at that point in 4-game series.
But Nola's a horse. He throws strikes. These are the things that make him great. But you throw that many balls over the plate, that some of them are going to...
There's something about 2 outs. There's something about when he gets somebody on, his approach is a little different.
And he's going to give up the homers. I feel like that doesn't hurt as much as these kind of late game call it a collapse. But he a lot of times gets out of them. you got to give him some run support. Whereas
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about some situations.
How many of his wins? How many of his wins did he give up 3 runs?
He did get out of these. I mean, that's why he does have
the offense.
Outside of Taiwan, out of the top 4 starters, he has the highest ERA at like 3.3 something. But anyway,
put a little on the offense.
I'll get off
2
my
runs.
soapbox now.
Yeah. Right.
Game 4 in that series, important to note because, yes, we had a loss on Saturday, but we came back again with a win, and it was honestly a great win. It's one of those that you look like, oh, they won. If you actually look at what happened in that game, it was a dreadful game for us. Dreadful game. But we won. We came back and won. We went 3 for 17 with runners in scoring position. We had 5 errors as a team. And we went down to start the game 6-2 with Ranger pitching. We came back. This is the best comeback win of the season by far. Came back to win 7-6.
Yeah, that's what's the team. That's what gets you to the level of breaking the franchise record of wins. When you go out and just refuse to lose a game like that.
It was a very important win because we could have gone 1-3 against the Marlins.
Right.
With not having Schwarber or Harper at that point, we didn't know for how long. Because that could have sent us on a bad stretch.
Going into a difficult stretch that we talked about. The Cubs.
The Cubs, and we'll talk about them. That kind of catapulted us to have actually a pretty good series. I mean, the Cubs were reeling at that time too. They were hot coming out of the gates, but they are not playing good baseball as of late. Game 1, 6-4. Mercado came up from AAA, had a pretty nice start that game. Thought there was going to be some good vibes, good things with him.
He looked confident out there.
He looked really good, and we were excited about his next start, which we'll get to here in a bit. But great start for him in that game. But Trey, this is when he started to really heat up.
2 bombs.
Two bombs that game, and then he's been on a tear ever since.
It's so crazy, the fact that he's 185 pounds, and he hit one of those home runs literally out of Wrigley Stadium. Or was it out right? That was the game he hit it out of the stadium, or was that Fenway?
It might have been.
No, it was more recent. It was
I
think I'm only mixing it up because Wrigley Fenway. Yeah. So they literally, it's insane that
he's
the bat
speed.
Like
non-assuming, great baseball player. Like looking at him, you would not think like, oh, he's like this great baseball player, or even like this power hitter who can hit for power.
I think it was either Rob Thompson or maybe Tim Kirkson on one of the calls. It was like, he looks like my milkman. But like 185 pounds to get that much power, it's all bat speed. It's wild.
It's pretty incredible what he
and
can
the
do.
speed.
That's why he is who he is. And
remember when everybody didn't want to give him a chance? What a waste of money he was.
Yeah, now people are saying that his contract's undervalued. That's how it is. That's how it is in Philadelphia, right?
Him and Bryce are underpaid.
They are.
It's crazy.
Game 2, we also won. This game was fun to watch, but it was really funny because Sosa was at bat. Did you see this?
I'm pretty sure
he was at bat.
Oh yeah, but it's
I don't know, it was 5th or 6th inning, and he lost the bat in his swing, and it went all the way into the netting, like very high up into the netting, and stayed there for the rest of the game.
It was the July 4th game. Or no, the next one was the July 4th game.
July 3rd game.
This is my birthday game.
Happy birthday, Tom. Happy belated.
I appreciate it.
So yeah, the bat got stuck there. It was fun, but he also played the hero later in the game. Him and Merrifield, which we'll touch on, played heroes in the 8th to break the tie. At that point, it was 3-3. We ended up winning 5-3. And Wheeler, didn't have his best stuff, but had a pretty solid outing too.
Yep, just Wheeler being Wheeler. But back to that previous point, 3 runs, the same as Nola, and so the run support makes a difference.
It really does.
Speaking of run support, the July 4th game,
we didn't have it.
And I kind of saw this coming. Not, I don't want to just say that. It's easy to say that now. Hindsight's 2020, but like the Cubs are playing. My cousin was out there. It's the July 4th holiday.
They're playing for something.
Yeah, they're
reeling. They need a spark.
That was one of those games where you look at it and you're like, there's no way the Cubs are going to lose this at Wrigley on the 4th of July after giving up the first 2 games. But I don't know. I just had that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, we got beat down pretty bad. We lost 10-2.
Yeah.
We were up 2-0 going into the 4th. And then this is actually right after probably his best start of the season with Christopher Sanchez. Christopher Sanchez had his worst outing in a long time, maybe even
as a starter.
As a starter at least. He got tattooed in the 4th and 5th and let up 7 earned runs, which was unfortunate for him, especially after how great of a start he had the week before. But, it's baseball. It's a tough game.
It's a tough game. Still an all-star. The Cubbies needed that one really bad. So, and then big series with the Braves.
Big series with the Braves, and started out great, but we ended up going 1-2. First game though was awesome. I was pretty pumped up. I thought we won game 1. I thought we were definitely going to win the series at least.
Right.
Turner with another 2 home run game in that game. Nola pitched how he pitches in big moments. I just wish he could do that every game.
Right.
But he does do well when he plays against top tier teams and in the playoffs. It's just what he does. He takes it up that next level. I just wish he would do it more consistently.
And for sure, when he has a cushion,
when he has a cushion,
he definitely because we had a big cushion. That was when Ozuna, the 3-run homer late, which made the game seem a lot closer. Yeah.
This game was over for a while, but then Alvarado, who's been struggling a
tense
little bit.
Moment at the end.
He let up a 3-run home run to Ozuna, brought it in within 8-6. It was way more tense than it needed to be.
Yeah.
So we move on to the Saturday game, game 2. Ranger struggled again. Out of the gates.
It was clearly struggling. Yeah.
He let up a 3-run home run again to Ozuna in the first, and then another. He kind of righted the ship in the second, third, and the fourth. Got to the 5th, and then let up a 2-run shot against Albies. We went down 5-0 at that point, and you kind of just we waved the white flag, and it's just one of those games that is whatever it is about the Braves, we can never really find a way to come back against them.
Yeah, and
it's when we go down against them,
team.
They stomp on our throat, and they don't let us come up for air.
Regular season, hey, let them have the regular season.
Yeah, it's fine. We're 2-4
saying that
in the regular season.
It'd be nice to take a series from them.
It is what it is.
We'll have another chance.
All the Braves fans, that's what they're hanging on this season so far, but it's fine. And in game 3, we lost 6-0.
Worst mascot in baseball. It's fine.
Mercado in game 3 gave up 3 home runs in the second inning to put up the Braves up 5-0. So they were basically 3 consecutive home runs. It was brutal to watch.
Yeah, so night and day from his first start where he looked so comfortable.
We thought we had something good with him, and
it was like batting practice.
It was literally like batting practice. Every ball was hard hit.
But then the other kid comes in with his debut, Tyler Phillips, strikes out the side, which ultimately gives him his chance
later in the series, later down the line. Yeah, no, it was great to see him get that opportunity, and it was really awesome for him to come in and strike out the side like that.
So our biggest stretch so far this season, we go, 2-1 Cubbies, 1-2 Braves, and then the Dodgers, who seem to be on a collision course for the NLCS for a trip to the World Series. It looks like it's going to be us and the Dodgers. So this series
it's still very possible.
Yeah. I mean,
it was great this series.
It was exciting.
It was definitely a measuring stick.
It was exciting.
Yes, they are a little shorthanded. They're reeling with injuries as well.
The most exciting player in baseball.
Yeah,
Shohei Ohtani.
We swept them.
Yeah.
We won 3-0, and Ohtani, as a matter of fact, went 2 for 10 with only 1 RBI. We shut him down the entire series.
And your boy Nola, when we were with the bases loaded. And Ohtani, bases loaded, 1 out twice in that game that we were at on Thursday.
Game 3, the win 5-1, yeah.
Was that the Sunday? No, that was a Thursday game.
Thursday game, yeah, game 3 against them.
Right. I'm just mixing it up. So, yeah, 2 times had bases loaded, 1 out, got out of them. But the first one was Ohtani and then Will Smith, 2 All-Stars. Ohtani
and Freddie Freeman.
And Freddie Freeman. Well, they didn't have to see him that inning because it was 1 out.
True. That's true.
Freddie Freeman also went 0 for in that game. I think had 1 walk.
Yeah, you're right. 0 for 11 for those 3 in that game.
Yeah. But what a moment. That was humongous.
It was.
And that could have went sideways.
He struggled in the first 2 innings of that game, but he got it right.
He had him chasing the curve. Ohtani is not an easy guy to get. He had, I think, 2 hits the previous game, but to have Ohtani go 0 for in a spot with the bases loaded where it's needed, Yeah, that was cool.
It was also great to see Strom. It was game 2 when we won 4-3, close, gritty win. But the video of Strom and Otani pitching to Otani and striking him out, and Otani flailing on his junk, it was pretty awesome. Fooled him. It's always fun to see that when you're the best hitter in baseball and we can overpower. That's just how good our pitchers are, and that's how good pitchers are compared to any hitter. You can make the best hitter in baseball look like a fool.
Otani is one of those guys, though, where if we do crash into him in the playoffs, he's going to remember this series, too.
Probably.
So it'll be a battle.
Probably.
It'll be a battle.
The Dodgers probably won't forget Trey. Trey had another great series. He had 2 home runs in this series. And in the first game, he actually had a grand slam, which really opened it up for us. In the 4th inning, got us up to 9-0 in that game. We ended up winning 10-1. But Trey continuing on his absolute tear.
Yeah, it was fun.
So we sweep the Dodgers, and we think, oh, man, we're going to go on a nice little run, especially against the Athletics, who are like bottom 5 team in baseball right now.
But now all of a sudden you're Rangers not going to pitch in the All-Star game.
Trap series.
Wheeler's not going to pitch on Sunday.
Trap series.
And yeah, it's so stupid.
Game 1, I was there. Went back-to-back games. We lost 6-2. Rangers struggled yet again.
Didn't look like. I'm glad that they pulled him from the All-Star game, that he can fully rest.
Something.
Yeah.
And we'll touch on that.
As cool as it would have been to see him.
It would have been great to see him, especially in his first one. But he should have more opportunities, and hopefully he will.
Yeah.
He struggled. He gave up 3 runs early, and it's another one of those things where you kind of just felt like it was an insurmountable lead. The way that our offense was playing that game, we just couldn't get it going in that game, unfortunately, and we lost 6-2. But then game 2, we kind of beat them down like we expected to. We won 11-5, 4 total home runs, with Bryce hitting his first since coming back from the injured list, and then Trey, of course, hit another one.
Yeah, and the kid Tyler Phillips looked.
That was his first start.
All right, yeah.
6 inning pitched, 4 earned runs, but
so that's another cog into this rotation bullpen. They got some things to figure out. And luckily, they got about 60 more games to figure it out.
Yeah, and we'll see what they do, what moves they make, if any, on that in the trade deadline.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit.
And then we talked a lot about Game 3. We don't have to touch on it anymore. Bad game. Kind of gave it up. Everybody's body language was terrible. Get it. Tom already won a soapbox. Flush it, as Jalen Hurts says.
I'm just mad I even made the trip. It was my shout out Mama Link. It was her 70th birthday. Had to make it down for the tailgate. But I dug deep. I dug deep for that one.
Well, I told you on Thursday when we were looking at it, we were looking at the projected pictures.
Because we went on Thursday, and I was like,
"No, Tom, that is not going to be a good game."
I was like, "There's no chance I would have." So shout out Mama Link. We made it down.
All right. So year-over-year comparison. Last year, this time we were 52-44. Obviously, this is when we started to, again, go on our little tear. We were 8 games over 500 at that point, but now we are 20+, and it's been a great season. Best team in baseball.
And the best start in franchise history?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, 62 total wins so far. Best start going to the All-Star game with 62 wins. We are 8th on the list all-time in Major League Baseball. The record is held by the 2018 Red Sox with 68, who actually won the World Series that year. And then for those taking notes, the Mariners, the 2001 Mariners, who also had 8 All-Stars that year in 2001, and who also won the league record 116 games.
It's insane.
They won 63 by the All-Star game. So there's still a chance for us to go on a tear like they did and win even more than we are currently, win at a more of a clip than we are currently are doing right now. And then one little note that's interesting, the 2015 Phillies, 9 years ago, they won 63 games total. We've come a long way, Tom.
Yeah, wow. That's let's just we'll flush that error a little bit.
All right, so let's move on to quality. And again, keeping the theme, we're going to focus on our All-Stars. And we'll start with Christopher Sanchez. We talked about it. He was one of the last All-Stars to be named to the squad, and he's well-deserved. He really probably solidified it with his complete game shutout a few weeks ago. over the past 16 games, he has a 2-1 record with an ERA of 4.26. Most of that is inflated by the start against the Cubs, which we talked about, which was not good. But overall, been pitching very, very well for us this season. Sub 3 ERA and a 1.23 WHIP.
Yeah, and it goes. I mean, another thing kind of might beat up a lot over the season or over our episodes, but he gives props after his complete game shutout, after all of his starts when he's getting, the daycare pouring water on him. He always says, cause I'm attending bullpen sessions with Wheeler, with Nola, with Ranger, seeing how they pitch. And I think that you can't understate what that's doing and his progression. Because who would have thought he came up to be an inning eater like a year ago?
He came up as like a Tyler Phillips.
Now a complete game shutout.
Yeah. You know what I mean? He came up as a pitcher from AAA.
I mean, it's awesome to see.
Yeah, it is really awesome to see, and great for him. He's had past 365 days for him have been pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Wheeler. Wheeler has been the workhorse that we all expected this season. Obviously, he's going through a little fatigue right now. And as a matter of fact, over his last 3 starts over the past 16 games, he only has 1 win, but his ERA is still sub 3, 2.55, and he has 10 total wins for the season. Our objective for him is 18. With those 10 wins, he's very close to hitting that mark, on pace for just over 17 wins. So we'll see if he can meet our objective for this year. But overall, been a workhorse.
Yeah, I think our midseason reviews, shout out to everybody on social media, on Twitter, with the feedback. They came in pretty rock solid.
Pretty
like
close
as far as like if the pace is right there. So these are
They're either really close or
attainable goals.
Obtainable goals. They're stretch goals, but they're attainable.
And if we're going to get to 100 wins, Wheeler's definitely going to need to get 8 more of them, in my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair to say. Let's talk about Ranger now. Ranger, for the first 2/3 of this first half, was the best pitcher in baseball, right? Lights out. Immediately jumped up to 10 wins. I think he went 10-1, or he had 9 straight. I forget.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much 90 innings where he was the best pitcher in baseball.
He was the best pitcher in baseball. But not even looking at the past 16 games. Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to the London series, right after the London series. Let's start after the London series. And what do we know about what happened after the London series? JT went down. So his first start after the London series, his first start without JT was against the Orioles. Now, he didn't pitch bad in that game. He actually pitched pretty decent. Obviously, it was a tough game, tough offense to go against. He didn't end up getting the win. We ended up winning as a team in probably the best game of the season. But that was where it all kind of started. At that same time, his family came into play.
Yeah, I hope we didn't jinx this by joking about his family.
But it's becoming one of those things where his family came up soon after that. First time watching him pitch ever from Venezuela. So it just kind of makes you think. From that Orioles start until now, he is 0-3 with a 4.98 ERA in the last 6 games. Pretty drastic difference from where he was pitching before.
Sure.
So there's obviously something wrong. We now know a little bit more because they've shut him down for the All-Star game. Probably not going to come back until the second series back. What do we think is the issue?
So
is it fatigue?
I'm going to lean more towards, because this is the same guy who is going to get a Gold Glove on the mound. This is the same guy who caught a ball in the World Series basically while he was chewing gum with like his hand to the side, or like flipped the ball out of his glove to throw it to first.
He's very calm, cool, and collected.
It's hard for me to think it's a mental like anxiety thing in his head because the guy is
with his family. You're saying?
I'm saying in general.
Okay.
And I don't think it's gonna be necessary to have his family wear disguises or anything. Like I don't think it's mental. I'm leaning hard towards this is the biggest workload he's ever had. At least in his professional career by far. Yeah. So
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think like there is some like level of, does he have performance anxiety pitching in front of his family? I think maybe a little bit, but he's super calm, cool, and collected. I just can't see that.
Right.
But people are going to talk about that. Maybe it's just a pure coincidence. I agree. This is the most innings, or on pace for the most innings he's ever pitched in a season by far. That obviously in fatigue. But I also, you got to think, like, is he really missing JT this much?
Right. And that's,
And is that another reason why they're waiting until JT's back in that Twins series to get him pitch?
No, I mean, it's a great point. He's had other starts. I thought he had, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the previous Stubbs starts
to see if he had caught any Rangers. I don't know.
I think he was. I think I remember a couple where he's still, but a couple is different than every game where you miss your guy. And JT losing the best catcher in baseball, it's felt. It's going to be felt.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
yeah, we'll see. That's a great point. But at the end of the day, what's 1 to 10? What's your worry scale? Just Ranger.
I'm at a 4.
I'm at a 3.
Yeah.
But that's kind of talking myself into it.
Not a 4. I'm not in the majority of freaking out right now, but
just one more. Just come back, pitch well. We're good.
He needs a get right game after this. He needs a decent game after this. If it's again another one of these, then I'm concerned.
If it becomes a nagging back injury between him and Wheeler, then it's just you don't want to deal with it. So you're right. What you said, the All-Star break did come at a perfect time. So see if we can
hopefully
roll right out to it, get some quality family time. Tell them whatever they're doing in the crowd, move seats or something.
Baseball is a very superstitious game.
Yeah.
So who knows? All right, let's talk about some of our relievers, the All-Star relievers. Hoffman and Strom, both pitching really, really, really well. Well deserved. I mean, they both. Hoffman has 3 wins. Strom has 4 wins as a reliever. They have a 1.12 ERA, both sub 1 whips. Pretty incredible for relievers. They've been pitching really, really well.
Yeah, just awesome. Hoffman, I mean, and it's so cool for Hoffman because he's where his career is now taken him to make an All-Star game as a reliever, where he's struggled. He's struggled in these past few years. Where other teams that quit, teams that gave him up are probably looking like, what the hell?
Whisperer, like we get these people, and we just figure them out. Him, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger, even like.
And you got to give the credit to Wheeler there. Like I think that rocked that. Yeah,
we just got a solid group of guys.
But it's very, very cool, and I mean he's been so consistent since even in the Atlanta series. I think he was like the best pitcher out there that we were getting. Everybody else was getting hit. And Strom, one note on Strom. Did you see the interview they did All-Star Weekend where they asked about who would survive the Hunger Games?
I didn't get to watch it. Would it be him?
It literally they went through like every single guy. Like they asked Bryce first, and he goes, maybe JT. And then he goes, oh wait, I'll change my answer, Strom. And then literally everybody else on the team,
survivalist, yeah, except
Christopher Sanchez, because I think his interpreter didn't. I don't know if he's read the books of the Hunger Games or was exposed, but he goes Suarez, and they're like, why Ranger Suarez? He goes, because he could eat a lot. But everybody else said Strom.
True Hunger Games.
So yeah, Suarez apparently could eat. Maybe that's no. But everybody apparently, even Strom said besides me, because like apparently this guy could you could drop him off in the woods, and he could survive and make an All-Star game.
I could see it.
And the JT was the runner-up consensus, but
also
apparently, yeah,
also makes sense. All right, let's get into the skill players here with Trey, Bohm, and Bryce. Trey has been on. Let's looking at the sample size of the last 16 games. This is really right after he came back from his hamstring injury. He is hitting 400 over the last 16 games with 8 home runs, a home run every other game, 20 RBIs, and 17 runs scored. Absolutely incredible. And his average is now up for the season to 349. If he was eligible right now, he's not listed as in the list of top averages again in the league, just because of the number of games he's played. Eventually, he will get there. Right now, he's second. If you would count him, he is second in the league in average, 349.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's making it look easy. What else could you say? And it's so impressive to miss that time with the hamstring injury, even have a little setback,
Not have any rehab starts.
and just not even phase him. Like, no mental, nothing.
He's an elite baseball player.
It's insane.
He really is. And then Bohm, just having a great year. Like, he's having a great year. He is fourth in the bigs in RBIs and remains first in the bigs with doubles. I think he has 33 total doubles right now. And only another thing to note on him is he only has 56 strikeouts for the season. For the whole season. He doesn't strike out.
What they say in Moneyball, he gets on base.
He gets on base. He hits the ball. He might get out by a hit, right? But he hits the ball. He puts the ball in play. It's pretty incredible. And over the past 2 weeks, a little bit lower than he usually is or what his average shows. He's hitting 263, 15 hits and 2 home runs. But it was a lot of fun watching him in the home run derby.
Yeah, it was so cool. And seeing him get on a national stage and thrive on a national stage, even though, obviously, as Philly bias, they barely gave any attention. Like, they didn't show his 2016 home run derby win or anything. But they called him.
I don't know if there's any record of that.
They called him on the hot mic a couple times where he's like, when they announced, like, oh, Alec Bohm advances, he's like, who would have thought? Just like everybody expected. He's got a little
swagger.
Just like everybody expected, yeah.
He's got that Philly swagger.
That was yeah, it was cool. And then coming out with the Bohm famous intro music.
Yeah, it was good.
Crushed.
He's on pace actually for 19 home runs, which would be better than his objective of 18. So who knows? Maybe he'll come out on a home run tear after the home run derby. Hopefully.
I mean, Bryce obviously has put himself into the rolling right into Bryce, has put himself firmly in the MVP talk, but Bohm was there for a very good part of the year.
All three of these guys could be, like we mentioned at the beginning of the show. They really, really could be. And with Bryce, yeah, he got injured that first game against the Marlins, that first game, the game of our recording at the Boardroom. He came back on July 9th, so he's really only had a handful of games over the past 16. He's hitting 278, not terrible for him, but it was good to see him get that home run and get his power back after being on a little bit of a delay because he was on a tear before that. He was like Trey. Trey picked up where he left off, was hitting like over 400 the last time we recorded.
Yeah, it's
he's been incredible.
Bryce Harper, he's underpaid.
He's fifth in baseball with walks with 53, and he's fourth in the league in OPS with at 983 behind Judge, Ohtani, and Soto. Judge, Ohtani, Soto, and Harper. That's when you know Major League Baseball is having a great year when you have those four names at the top of a hitting list.
And on top of that too, with Bowman, Harper, humongous. What might have been a question mark, especially a couple years ago. I think Bohm's top 3 in fielding percentage for third baseman in the National League.
Is he?
I mean,
it's a complete night and day shift from where he was. Obviously.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, and it's not even that. He's making great plays. There's only been a couple games where he's been shaky, and it's been like it's kind of come in bunches, like one game. But besides that, he's making tremendous plays. And Harper, even the one, so there was that play, Bohm grounded it short through it to Harper. Harper played it perfectly. Harper has been great. Like our conversation back to Tim Kirchin. He let the one ball he alligator armed, but besides that, I can't even remember another play that he kind of boofed, you know?
Right, yeah, that was out of character for him as
defensively shoring up the corners with those guys is, I mean, come playoff time, that's everything.
It's been a major difference over the past 2 seasons. So real quick, just 2 other guys that we want to touch on. Were they snubs for the All-Star game?
Oh, those were all of our All-Stars?
Those were all of our All-Stars. But
I mean, I can't have all the All-Stars.
We can't have all of them. That's probably part of it. But Nola, I know. I'm saying it, admitting it. Aaron Nola had a legitimate shot, and he has a pitch to make, no pun intended, that he could have made the All-Star game. He is second in all of baseball right now with wins, with 11. Yeah, his ERA is higher than the other 3 of our starters that are in the All-Star game at a 3.38. The others are sub-3. But his whip is similar. He has one more win than the rest of them. He has the second most in baseball. And over the past 16 games, hasn't pitched terribly, even though we lost that one game against the Marlins, which I was frustrated with. He's 2-1, 3.38 ERA within the past 16 games, so he's consistent.
Yeah, and he's always right there. He's second in the NL in innings pitched. He always lives there. He's only behind Logan Webb. Logan Webb has 124.1 Nola's got 119.2. Wheeler's actually in third, 116.2.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a case to be made that he could have been on the All-Star game as well.
Ranger 114. Yeah, these
But
guys
then
are dogs.
The other one, maybe you have to build a little bit more of a case on, but I thought he was going to do it, especially with he was going on a little mini tear there in June, as he does. Kosh Schwarber, I thought that he had a chance too as a DH. Obviously, he's going against Ozuna and Otani, very tough to go against.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Can't
One of
call
those guys go down. He could have gone.
Can't call it a snub because there's some DHs out there. I guess
I know, but
it's
for
a
his
time.
standard, he's an all-star for his standards this year because he's hitting 249 this season, which is his best since 2021 when he split time between the Nationals and the Red Sox.
Right.
Great season for him.
It's mostly Otani's fault for coming up to the NL. It's gonna be.
It is because he probably would be in there.
It's gonna be. They're gonna be hard to come by.
It will be. I don't think he's too heartbroken about it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to people. Trade deadline quickly approaching. I mean, the next episode is really going to be focused in on that. A lot of smoke coming out, a lot of noise around, a couple people. What do you think, Tom? What are your feelings on what's going on out there in the trade market?
All right, yeah, like I won't get too far into it. I know we've gone a little longer today than usual, but we've had a lot to go over, and so I don't want to leave anything out. So a lot of the talk is the big three prospects. Do you want to get the Justin Crawford, Adam Miller, and Painter? Because we're the best team of baseball. Do you want to? We've seen before what happens when you go through a decade, but I don't know. And at first, we've had this conversation. We're like, I don't think you necessarily need, if you're going to go this analytic pitching route, you don't need this rock star closer. But then Mason Miller comes into town with the Oakland Athletics, and watching him throw back-to-back 104-mile-per-hour pitches, it's like, oh my God, that would be so perfect to shore up this team. Imagine just taking the bullpen and adjusting it to the left one, and then having that guy be able to come in and close games.
Get rid of Ruiz, please.
Yeah. The problem is the price is high because there's the 5 years of control. He took the plane. You pointed this out. He took the plane to the All-Star game with the Phillies. I got very excited about that, and you pointed out it's probably just because that's where he was leaving from.
It's logistically.
Yeah.
But
it's funny.
It's fun to think about.
Did you see the him and Harper conversation on the plane?
No.
They asked Harper, or they were talking to Miller, and he's like, before the game, Harper was like whispering to people, like, "Oh, what's this kid?" Like he came out to watch him pitch in the bullpen. Was like, "Oh, I'd like to face him." And then he said after he pitched, he like talked to him on the plane and was like, "Yeah, you still want to give it a go?" He's like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good. He's like, I'm good on that."
That's hilarious.
But it would.
I agree. It's going to be a lot. I'm out on Rooker from the A's too.
I'm out on Rooker.
Basically, just a DH, right? We can't get another DH on a team that already has four of them.
Doesn't fit.
Great player. Was fun to watch.
Yeah, I watched him hit two bombs in my face in 95-degree weather.
But I'm out on him. But there's a lot of noise around some of these players who are just really good at hitting lefties to kind of shore up and kind of platoon with Marsh.
That's what seems to make the most sense.
Yeah, and you're not going to be paying a lot for them. It makes some sense. You know, combining them and Marsh, you get a really, really good all-star caliber player out there. Either Lane Thomas from the Nats or Tyler Ward from Anaheim.
Yeah, those are two I've been hearing a decent amount about. Lane Thomas I like because he's been like really hitting left. It's almost like polar opposite of Marsh. So if you can combine them and platoon them for the playoffs, as much as I think Marsh should be an everyday player, I mean he's got to start hitting lefties.
He does.
So if he doesn't,
I wish he would be.
And it's like, all right, you know, you wish, but it's trade deadline. If you have the opportunity to basically get the alternate version of him, what's it in the Stranger Things, the
upside down.
Yeah, the upside down Marsh. Yeah.
Clean shaven, doesn't wet his hair, very dry hair.
The driest hair of all time. But
I agree.
But definitely not giving up a top guy for them. Maybe an Abel
so
I don't know.
So the next note here, Whit Merrifield was released. Yeah. What do you make of that? I mean, yeah, he was not necessarily playing well. He didn't really play well all season. He had his moments. They brought in Weston Wilson. are they like trying to see what they can get with him out there in the outfield, either as trade bait or to see if he can make the difference without having to trade for anybody?
Yeah, he did get a hit off of the kid Miller, hitting a 103-mile-per-hour fastball right after getting called up. It's pretty impressive. Weston Wilson.
I think they're gonna try.
Guy who hit a home run on his guy who hit a home run on his first at bat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a take on Merrifield.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, because there was a lot of that. My first initial reaction was like, man, you couldn't get anything for him. You couldn't like trade a prospect, or get a prospect back or something. But I think it is a culture thing. I think in today's day and age, the team there's such an emphasis on it, and I think it is so important to this team, the culture in the locker room. And 2 days before Whit Merrifield was released, he got in a Twitter argument with a fan.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I could read it. You could look it up, but it's basically like he was like
Childish.
It was very childish. A fan said, "I don't think something along the lines. I don't even think Whit Merrifield's family would buy his jersey right now." You're batting under 200, bud. Like, and you have stunk since last year's All-Star game, so it's been a full year of stinking.
Yeah.
And Whit Merrifield fired back saying like, "Oh, but my family wears my 3 All-Star jerseys," with like laughing emojis. And I'm saying it in that voice,
Yeah.
'cause that's exactly how I read it.
Yeah.
And then the fan fired back and was like, "Hey man, the fan was being the bigger man and said like, hey, I just want to see you play better. You mean a lot." And Merrifield went on and said something else childish. And then 2 years later, he gets released.
2 days later.
I think in today's day and age, PR, it's not just X's and O's.
Well, I don't know if he ever really fit into the vibes either. He could have, he could not have. He could have been a square peg, round hole kind of situation. Yeah, that's a good take on it. Absolutely.
3-time All-Star just to get, and you paid him a bunch of money.
Yeah, they
$8 million.
$3 million. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I feel like for
Wish
me,
him the best too. I mean, it didn't work out, but we'll see how Weston Wilson does.
I feel like it goes like if it was like if it was 2 years ago, you maybe try to fix that. You have patience, but if you're batting under 200 and you're arguing with fans on Twitter, we don't have time. This is now time.
Yeah,
that was my take.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. And real quick, lastly here, we just want to mention on our first round draft pick, it was 2 days ago, Dante Nori, center fielder, selected 27th by the Phillies out of Northville High School. It's actually the 5th consecutive year that they've drafted a high school player with their first pick. It's always a crapshoot with the baseball draft. So
not much
obviously, I hope he turns out. I mean, the last couple have turned out, seem to be turning out pretty good in the minors right now. But
we'll touch on this in next year's off-season preview.
We can. Yeah. And then last year in the business review, cost.
Hold on, did you see the one kid? I know we're going long and shouldn't be throwing out all this extra stuff. There's a kid out of, I think, Mississippi State, switch pitcher.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was like 99 righty and like 95 lefty.
That's incredible.
Apparently, yeah. So that
wave of the future.
That might be pretty sick. Yeah, there's only like one guy in recent history that did it. Starts with a V. It's like Vernon or something. Vernon. I think he was with the A's, or he was a journey. He was 6 different. Yeah, but they like changed the rules. He had a 2-sided glove where you have to declare
a glove
prior to the batter. You can't just like switch arms.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I just thought that was a cool thing.
Yeah. Cost here, the business review. We're just going to touch on one thing. Matt Strom's dad is apparently working on a budget. He's been cutting Brandon Marsh's hair whenever he gets the chance. Whenever Marsh is in the area, or Strom's dad's in the area too, he's been cutting him for homers. So good for Brandon Marsh. Doesn't have to pay anything, but it is paying with some homers, and he has. Apparently, most of the times that he has gotten his haircut, the game after that, he's at least hit 1 home run, except for the most recent one against the Cubs. He got it out in Chicago. He went like 0 for 3, but yeah. Most of the time it works.
Yeah, I think it was like the first 2 or 3, and then he interviewed and he's like, "Oh man, maybe it got in his own head.
Maybe he's starting to think about it. This is actually a thing.
He's got to let the hair talk." Yeah.
So good for him, saving $1 and paying out in homers. I think Strom's dad's probably very happy with that.
And then the other cost, another.
Yeah, the other cost is yesterday they were asking Bryce on MLB Network about when they go out for the night, who pays, because there's so many players that have huge contracts.
Some rich boys in this team. Yeah,
like, we have a 1-card rule, so we don't split it. We don't do that. Whoever's going to pay, it's going to be one person, 1 card. and they just kind of pick whoever it is, like, which is great for a lot of the players. Like, they have the money, they want to have everybody have a good time. But on the flip side of it, it's not fiscally responsible for us.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we're fiscally responsible here at the Phil's Boardroom. We're running the business. So
Yeah, the spreadsheet can't lean too far. Actually, shouldn't lean anywhere away from like the Harper.
and that's essentially what he said.
Harper,
It's me,
Schwarber, Trey.
Schwarber,
Yeah.
most of the time.
Wheeler got a little bit of money now too.
Nola.
Maybe that, yeah. And if they go to someone's house, that person would
They
get
said
it.
that
Yeah.
they came off because they had the picnic or cookout at Trey's, and he's like, Trey paid for everything. As you know,
That is an interesting thing though, because like bringing up that question, is there? I wonder if there are teams out there where they're like, this SOB makes me pay every time. Or yeah, they're splitting.
It's all about the vibe.
Someone gets out and sends Venmo requests to everybody for each. Now you ordered that appetizer, bro. I didn't even touch those wings.
Split it up. All right, so looking forward here, we start out at the All-Star break with a road trip to Pittsburgh and Minnesota, and then we come home for 3 games against the Guardians.
So we'll get to see some Skeens, right? He's starting tonight for the All-Star game.
It's probably going to be like Nola Skeens, potentially.
That'd be very cool. I'm excited for that.
Potentially, or at least maybe a Saturday he'll pitch on.
Right, so if he's pitching tonight, probably give him.
We'll see how much he pitches tonight. But yeah, another tough stretch. Minnesota's a good team, and then Guardians, obviously second best team in baseball. That's going to be a heck of a measuring stick series for us.
Yeah, and we'll
26 to 28th.
Right, sorry.
You're fine.
I was just gonna say because I think we're recording at the end of that series.
Yeah, and
but
we're going to be leading into the Yankee series with the next time we record.
yeah, that's a big time stretch. The 2 best teams in the American League, so that'll be a lot of fun. I haven't seen much of the Guardians at all, so I'm really looking forward to getting
Me either.
Yeah.
But they're pretty good.
Cool.
So do we want to jump right into the team building activity?
Let's do it real quick, just because we won't have the chance to again. Just hit me with a prediction for post All-Star. Just most general, anything we can come back to.
I think that this team right now we're on a pace for 105 wins. I think we get to 108.
Oh, so that's a very specific. So if we hit that, that'll be Nostradamus.
Yes, Nostradamus.
All right, I didn't have a specific one. I just wanted to predict that Stott, who we fully expected and hoped to be in this All-Star discussion, All-Star, being there with the boys, but did not take that step forward. I think this is gonna, as he's sitting at home watching all his friends, watching Raffy Bohm, Uncle Raffy hitting. I think it's gonna really
light a spark on him.
I think it's gonna light a fire. I think he's gonna come out strong in the post All-Star, and hopefully carry it the rest of the way.
Play like the guy that we expected to at the beginning of the season.
Hopefully carry it all the way to next year's All-Star game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so team building activity. We're going to have a little fun here, as we usually do in the team building activity. Looking at all of our All-Stars, what else would they be All-Stars at? So
I like that.
Christopher Sanchez. My take, I think he would be a magician because he has come out of nowhere. Right?
That's good.
Right?
And he's got a vibe. Kind of soft-spoken a little bit. Like, looks serious, but also is kind of like making jokes.
Maybe that'll be his nickname after this.
I like it. I think that's actually a good fit.
What about Wheeler?
Wheeler, just because the face, and I feel like if you slapped a pair of sunglasses especially, could be in the World Series of Poker.
Yeah, and his demeanor. He's
stoic.
Very stoic.
He's done his homework.
Will not talk to you.
He's done
Won't say a word.
Yeah. You have no clue what he's holding.
No idea.
Actually, that's good too. Yeah,
you have no idea what's in his hand.
And it's
unintended.
It looks exactly the same on the other side. Okay.
Poker face.
And he's one of the rich guys too, so he can get away with losing a couple milli.
It's true. Ranger Suarez. I have a swimmer. Only because I'm assuming he can hold his breath for a really long time underwater, which is obviously more advantageous as a swimmer.
I mean,
super calm, low resting heart rate. Best swimmers, best endurance athletes like that have a very low resting heart rate.
And for being real, a little swim conditioning in the off season might not be having these issues here.
That's true.
I mean, there's low.
We could start a program for him.
Low impact on the shoulders. Are pitchers swimming in the off season? There's got to be a pitcher out there that's
Ranger Phelps. Sounds good.
I'll take him off the swim team and put him on the diving team.
Diving?
Because I feel like he could just, on that podium, and he like, heartbeat to 0, and then just nails it with 0 splash.
We're getting ready for the Olympic episode. All right, Jeff Hoffman. I think this one is really good. You can take this one.
No, because you came up with this one, and I think it's like
we
perfect.
both think this is really good. Jeff Hoffman. What does that sound like to you? Sounds like a NASCAR driver.
Well, it was in the Poconos last weekend.
Looks like a NASCAR driver. Like I can see him wearing the Monster hat, the sponsor, and crushing a monster before he goes out there and pitches. I think NASCAR would be a perfect fit for him. He just sounds like a NASCAR driver. Kind of looks the part. I think he'd be a good fit there.
No, you nailed that one. It even sounds like a NASCAR name.
Yeah, I know.
Jeff Hoffman.
Jeff Hoffman.
He just rides. It's just don't crash.
If you don't chew Big Red.
Yeah. Shout out to the Toyota boys in Pocono Raceway, 2311.
Oh my gosh. All right, moving on.
I only know because it's Michael Jordan's team. That's why I just like those guys. Yeah.
I haven't watched NASCAR at all this season. I used to love it. All right, Matt Strom.
That's for another day.
That's for another day. Strom. He could be a good part. I know we just talked about him probably being the best survivalist, right? What about on the U.S. curling team?
Okay.
No?
Like using the hair?
No, it's just the U.S. curling team, became popular a couple years ago because they just look like just a bunch of dudes.
It does just look like a dude. Okay.
Yeah, Strom just kind of looks like a dude, everyday dude. I think that would be a good fit.
I could see it. He'd be the sweeper. Actually, I guess he'd be the bowler.
Olympic
whatever
gold champion, gold medalist of U.S. curling.
But under these new pretenses that we learned that everybody thinks he would win the Hunger Games, I'm not sure if that means he would be like an all-star special forces or more so like if we're staying on the Olympic theme, the guys that like ski like 100 miles and then take a shot with a rifle. That event where you do like the long distance skiing and then lay down and take a shot.
What is that called? I forget. But anyway, it could be either one.
Or axe throwing. I'll give him axe throwing.
All right, Trey. He just looks like a soccer player to me, like a European soccer player. His body type, the way he slides, his athleticism. I think he'd be an all-star soccer player if he ever. I don't know if he plays. Maybe he might.
Yeah, with the championships going on right now, I think that's fitting. Like if he was walking around Miami, a lot of people would probably think he's one of the soccer players down there.
Probably. What about Bohm?
Bohm? I think Bohm could do anything.
He could do anything.
Mr. Raffi.
He could do anything.
But go ahead.
Put him as a pet groomer, only because of his golden locks. He'd be an expert at grooming all of your pets, mostly dogs, maybe some cats. Who knows? He can get into that kind of thing.
He knows how to condition.
He knows how to condition really well, shampoo really well, and the product is very nice.
And he could be the face of your business too. But I feel like any dog or any animal you bring in, no matter what cut you ask for, it's going to come out there with like an Alec Bohm perm.
He does get perm, so could be fitting. And then last of our all-stars here, obviously, Bryce Harper. The Water Boy.
Hey, we didn't even touch on that. We didn't even hit that.
I know. We just did. He did a great job. Such a great job yesterday that we've decided that he can be an all-star Water Boy. If you didn't see it, there's clips of him giving Bohm water in his big glass container of water, and there's a label on it that says water. So it was perfect.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was probably one of the best moments we didn't even bring up.
Yeah. They were just having a great time.
They were trying to picture
the King Panderer himself.
Oh yeah, he's so good at it. It's crazy. But Waterboy, I'm just thinking like a mashup of Harper and Bobby Boucher.
I don't know if I can see it.
Yeah, more of an actual professional water boy.
Water boy.
I think he'd be a great recruiter as well. Like I was thinking like
corporate headhunter.
Yeah, or like a sales guy, because he's always on. He's always thinking about who he could bring in.
He'd always win those trips to the Caribbean every year.
He's surrounded himself with all of his boys that are the best at what they do.
It's true.
He'd be.
You're not wrong. That's actually a really good comparison.
The problem is if he's in HR, early in his career, he probably had some HR complaints.
Yes.
But we're past that.
Now he's a poster boy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All is forgiven.
Yeah. All right. So that pretty much wraps it up for this week's or this bi-weekly episode.
Give that honorable mention to Schwarber.
All right. Schwarber, honorable mention, beer chugging all-star. And what we really need, throwing down the gauntlet, Philly needs this. We need the Schwarber versus Kelsey matchup. I think that would be pay-per-view level thing here in Philadelphia, and we need that.
Yeah, how it's not happened. I feel like somebody has asked him that before at some point.
And
I
it
don't
needs
know.
to happen. I mean, he has his own sponsored beer now with Yards.
But all right, so that needs to happen. But also, I think he could easily step in. Well, again, maybe this is Ranger now based off of Sanchez's thing, but with the GOAT athlete of all time, Joey Chestnut, stepping down, I think he could step right in to the Nathan's hot dog eating contest and demolish.
Oh, my God.
But
I don't know
beer and
about
hot dogs.
I just want to see the Schwarber-Kelsey matchup. I think that'd be great. But anyway, it's been a fun episode. We've had a lot to cover over the past 2.5 weeks. It's going to be a fun all-star game. Looking forward to the second half of the season, Tom.
Yeah, it's been fun. And looking forward to the all-star game tonight.
Yeah, it would be a blast. Go Phils.
Go Phils.